we had a conversation, and I remember it was in a coffee shop in Studio City, and you raised your voice. You weren't yelling, but you were very assertive. You were very. This was important to you. So thus began a conversation that everyone had to hear. And it was like, well, I don't understand, because you you came from
everyone had to hear.
Well, you came from I mean, your point was valid. I remember you said, well, I just like to work. I like to act. I don't care if I'm on a bad show. I don't care if I'm on this. I want to perform. I want to act. I want to work. And we had two different sort of ideas. In fact, I think we might have talked about this with Monica on the plane. You're Monica.
This has come up a bunch between you and I. Yeah,
right,
it's an ongoing disagreement.
And I'm sort of like, maybe it's because I had success with acting at a younger age. Younger, and I kind of burn out. And I was just like, I have to love what I'm doing now. Maybe. And maybe all of a sudden you hit your stride. You went from, you were on Punk'd and you did Groundlings and all this, but you had to we all had to earn it. But you really had to grow and grow in this role and maybe maybe you're starting to get burned out of it now. You're understanding my point?
Well, no, I think for me, and by the way, this was my point then, and it remains my point. And by the way, I'm not judgmental of anyone operating out of ego. I operate out of ego in so many realms of my life, but I do recognize that me wanting to be on Breaking Bad is my ego, because I want people around town to bump into me and say, "Oh my God, I love your show," right? And I want to have died having been on these great shows. But then another part of my brain recognizes my children are never going to see Breaking Bad. They're not going to rediscover it. That it goes away. It happened. It goes away. There's no permanence. It doesn't matter. I'm going to die. And whether or not I leave behind me 700 episodes of amazing TV or 700 episodes of terrible, unwatchable TV, there's really no difference in that outcome, because no one beyond my life is going to evaluate that. So all my life really will have been is how much fun did I have making the 700 terrible or good or great episodes, and how much did they pay me?
Right. I think
the rest, I think, is my ego. Now, and again, I don't mind that. But here's yes, you like great shows. And my point to you is always like, then watch great shows, turn them on, enjoy them. You don't have to be in them.
I agree to a point. I think my approach was, I think your kids will watch them. But first of all, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because you're dead. No. It doesn't matter. So look, of course there's ego. I have a lot of ego, and I've worked on it, and we both have. I think for me, it's like, look, if I couldn't afford, if I have a family or if I couldn't afford something, I will do whatever it is. I don't care if they're doing whatever. I'm not going to badmouth the show. I mean, I will, but I would do it. I would do whatever it takes to have money to provide. But if I'm lucky enough where I could make those decisions, I'd much rather spend my time on a show that I'm really proud of, that is actually I stretch, I'm challenged, I'm like, I can't wait to tell people to watch this, as opposed to, hey, I'm on the show that I don't even like. That's my point.
It's a great point, but I had this experience over the last couple of years, which was I was on The Ranch on Netflix. It has a humongous audience. I've never met a single person in Hollywood that's watched it. Not one. And I know several hundred people in Los Angeles, and not one human being in our industry has watched The Ranch. Now, when I go do a live show around the country, I meet a ton of people that like The Ranch. It has 5 million viewers. So what I'm really doing is I'm elevating the opinion of my peers above the 5 million people that watch the show and enjoy it. First and foremost, right? I've decided I want my peers' approval and not this 5 million people. Because I think it goes without saying, neither of us are talking about a show that has no audience. Then that's moot. Yeah, you can't be on a show with no audience.
Oh, I've had those shows.
So, okay, but they don't last. You're not on them for long.
Yeah.
So my point is, if you're on a show that has an audience, now you're talking about what audience are you proud to have? And that's kind of ego, because there's no human's more valuable than another. So the 5 million people that love the ranch versus the 5 million people that love the Parenthood, the only difference was some of those people that love Parenthood were my peers. So it felt better. My ego felt more stroked by the fact that it was my peers as opposed to these other 5 million people. So once I acknowledge there's no hierarchy in who likes it, or it'd be shitty of me to think there's a hierarchy, I then go to, okay, so I probably wouldn't watch The Ranch. None of my peers watch The Ranch. But to your point, if I want to be proud of the work I did, ironically, I had some scenes in The Ranch that I think are the best I've ever had as an actor. Like the final of that show, I actually had the experience. I've had the experience on Parenthood where I'm trying to be emotional. And then I had like the transcended experience on The Ranch where it was like, I was so emotional. I was trying not to be emotional, which is what would have really happened in that situation. And I was trying not to cry, and I was failing at that. And I've never had that experience.
That's truth. Yeah.
I haven't had it on another project. And there were tons of other projects that were maybe, quote, in our industry better. But my personal experience and my personal accomplishment probably peaked on that show that none of my peers will watch.